Hi, welcome to The Writing Engineer. Recently, I was part of a conversation on Facebook where we were discussing videos and how difficult it was for some people to actually publish them. One of the subtopics was editing videos, and a lot of people expressed chagrin and concern about how long it was taking them to edit videos and what they were doing might not be good enough. So, I thought this video might be appropriate. Today, on The Writing Engineer, how I edit videos.
Okay, so here we are. This is the program right here, Kdenlive version 18, that I use to edit my videos. We're going to open that up, and while we're waiting for that, doesn't take very long, this is their website, kdenlive.org. They are a free and open source software. You can download any of their versions, which include their main distributions are on Linux, but they also have Windows and Mac OS X platform availability. I would recommend that you download it and at least try it because the software is free, it is semi-professional, and as you're about to see, it has a lot of nice features. So, back to the Kdenlive. So when I edit a video, the first thing that I do is I open my template. So we're going to go under Recent here. I'm going to go down to my template.kdenlive. So you open that up and you'll see over here that it loads up a bunch of files that I have already inserted into my template. We can move back on the timeline here and you'll see that at the very beginning, I'm going to zoom in here. You'll see that at the very beginning, I have my introduction already set out and ready to go. And I can move through that frame by frame by pressing the left or right arrow keys. So once I have loaded up my template, I click this button right here and I go to add clips to the project. We're going to go to my most recent episode, Killing a Character, and we're going to load up the files that I used to record them. So it was these files right here. And click OK, and it adds them to my file listing over here of clips that I can add. And you'll see that these are actually date stamped for both time and length. They were all recorded on the 23rd of November. This one was at 12:36:05. This one was at 12:37:02. So I can add those in the order that I want them to appear. So we can just drag them down, and you'll see that it kind of snaps to the furthest right clip. So I can put it there, or I can put it here, but we'll just put it here for now. Now, if you want to edit, you can scroll through this frame by frame by pushing the arrow key, or you can jump around by just clicking with the mouse. So what I will typically do is I will set to a stationary position right here. I will then zoom in, which you can do either by using the shortcut keys, or there's a lot of separate functions down here that you can use. There did used to be a thing down here to switch back and forth between zoom and clipping, but here's the zoom level right here, so you can zoom in and out if you want. And you'll see if we zoom all the way in, this is going to split it into individual frames that are occurring in your video. Those individual frames happen at about 30 frames per second for the United States, and if you're on a PAL type of system, they'll happen at about 24 times a second. We're going to zoom back out, and so if I need to remove something from my video, I can use the shortcut key, Control X, and you'll see this little hand down here on the clip will change to, sorry, alright, what is going on here? So we're going to change this. What is going on here? Why can't I clip this now? Oh, let's just undo that. Whatever I just did. Okay. So now we're back to where we were before. well, this is supposed to change to a little pair of scissors here. But if you right click, you'll see this brings up another menu, and you can do oh, I updated my software, so it changed my defaults. So if I want to cut my clip, right here it tells me I can do Shift R, and it will cut it right where the cursor is. You see it now, it splits these clips into two different pieces, and I can take these pieces and move them around as I want to. I can also, for this, add a audio correction, which will allow me to change the volume if I'd like. I can go over to the videos and use the fade from black, which will allow this to fade in from black, or I can fade out to black. We can then get rid of the effects up here by just clicking Delete Effect, which is very convenient. So I will typically go through and I'll find these large empty spaces that exist in my videos, and these are typically places where I will need to cut my film, where I go back to a paused position, and then this is just empty space where I will read from my previously written script. Once I'm done with this, I will usually scroll all the way back out, and we'll just cut this clip at a couple locations here. Shift R, and then we'll do another Shift R here. Move that out of the way. And while I'm going through this, I will look at these clips that I'm deleting, and I'll see if there's any that I want to put in at the end that might be worthy of the bloopers reel or the outtakes. So then once this timeline is all clipped out, I can take these and move these individually, and they'll just snap right next to each other here. So then this will be my continuous timeline. You will see over here on this side that each of these video lines has both a lock, a sound, and a video, and a film strip here. So I can either activate or deactivate each one of these timelines here, depending on what I want to have happen. Right now I have the top two ones deactivated so that I can just move my clips up the top and they don't interfere with what I'm doing on video 1. Once I've done this and got the video to where I am satisfied with it, I will then take my underlying soundtrack and I'll stick it on the bottom here. Then while I have this soundtrack selected, I can go back up here to my audio effects, choose the volume, double click on it, and I will typically set this, instead of 100% volume, I'll set it to 15% volume. And that will only affect my my audio clip here. It will not affect my video. These video clips I can do individual and separate things to, modifying the audio. It has some cleanup features and whatnot. So right now, what I typically do was then I will copy this, and then wherever my mouse cursor is on the audio track, if I paste it in, it will just paste it there. So typically with my first audio loop, I will do a fade in. So once this one is selected, you'll see that it's red. You click on fade in, and it will add a fade in here. We'll zoom in on this so you can see what's going on with the fade in. So this is from 0 volume up to 100% volume on this clip, right? But for the rest of them, you'll see that this one that I copied and pasted over, while it still has the volume, it does not have the fade in on it, as we switch back and forth to here. So then I will, to make sure that I have my underlying audio going throughout my track, I will copy this one, and then I will zoom all the way out, and then just start pasting it in. We'll just add a whole bunch of them here. So now you'll see I'm not being super careful with that, but that's okay, because we'll get to the end. We'll move these so that they all loop back on each other. We go from one to the next with no empty space in between. And hopefully, well, it's not gonna be exactly perfect here. We're gonna do one more cut. We're gonna do one more cut for this, so I can show you the other feature that I like about Kdenlive here. All right, so if we remove this little clip, move this. So now you see that my last audio right here is a little bit too long for the rest of my video. Well, this is very easily fixable, as all of these clips you can change the length. And you see here how the length of what we're doing is we're actually clipping off the end of that until it matches the end of here. It's not shrinking it or playing it faster. It's actually removing the audio from the end of this particular track. And you can do the same things with the video. You can, if you have a lot of empty space at the end of your video, you can just clip it like this, and it will automatically remove that without having extra clips over here. So then to finish, what I'll do is, with this particular video clip, I'll go back over to my video effects. I'll do a fade to black on that. We'll take and select this audio clip, go back to our audio effects, and we'll do a fade out, so that these two will go dim and quiet at the same time. I will then typically go over and I will need to add a title screen, which I usually do beforehand. But as you can see here, my title screen, my title intro doesn't have any title to it. So for me to get a title, I will go and I will open this wonderful piece of software called GIMP. And it is going to be my graphics and GIMP image editor. Now this is a free and open source software that is very much like Photoshop. You'll probably recognize the layout if you have used Photoshop at any point in the past. So I will open my YouTube splash for No NaNoWriMo. And you'll see here I'll have my title screen. I can then select text editing, click on the blue portion here, which is the actual title of my video, and it will come up and say, do you want to edit this or do you want to create a new layer? Well, we want to edit this one. So all we have to do is select all this. We can then put in our new title, here. We can go over to the tools. We can do a transform tool, which allows us to both rotate and move. So we will move this first so that it's in the proper position. Move active layer. We'll move this so it's in the proper position down here. We will go back to the tools. We will then go to transform again and rotate. Now I happen to know that every single time that I do this, it's minus 26 degrees. I just played with that until it looked right. I then click the rotate button and it rotates it for me. I will then save it as a different file. We'll just call this test. And it's going to save this in the default format for this program, which is an XCF. If we want to save it as a JPEG, which I always do before I import it, we do export as, and then I can export it as a JPEG file from the choices down here. And you see there's a lot of choices that you can pick from. Pretty much every type of image file that you can think of is here. So we'll click export there. We'll export it again. And then once that's oops. So I forgot to rename the file here. You want to make sure that you rename the file so it has a JPEG extension. Click export.
Are you making a video?
Export again. And that was much quicker. So now we go back to Kdenlive. We can then add our YouTube splash, making sure to pick the JPEG version, and we'll add it here at the top. And this is our title. So we'll zoom in here. We can then shorten this to the length that we need so it will fit. All right. See how that works quite nicely? We'll just stick that in there. All right, so that at the end of my title. All right, so that wasn't very long, but we'll extend that so you can get a little bit more of the effect here. Right? So, and there's our title. Now I usually use this also as my thumbnail for my video. We can zoom back out. And then once all of your stuff is together with however you want, I have a color bars clip at the end that I can do, which is annoying, but then I usually will will clip this to about here, and then I can add my outtakes at the end if that's what I so desire, and I can play those outtakes. Once I'm satisfied with my video, I will then go over to Project. I will go to Render, and these are already preset. I preset up a YouTube profile for editing, and this you play around with at the beginning. It has an MP4 container, it, does all this type of stuff. I set up the types of codecs and the audio and all that stuff, and that you only have to do that once, and then you save that as a preset up render format. We can rename this to however we want to rename it. Then we just click Render to File, and it renders to the file. And that's pretty much how I edit my videos. I hope you've enjoyed this today, and we'll see you again soon.